Hey guys, we are back tonight for Real Talk Weekly at Novak Properties, and tonight we are marking 1 week after the budget and the real market reaction. Tune in.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. We may have had some technical difficulties just now, but to recap, we are back for Real Talk Weekly at Novak Properties, and tonight we are marking 1 week after the budget and explaining the real market reaction.
Yes, on the ground, what we found on the weekend, we're going to unpack it in a couple of different bite-sized chunks. Tonight, we're going to tackle it from the buyer's side, and then we're going to look at the vendor and the selling side. I guess we've had a full week now where the budget has taken effect, but slowly, day by day, we've started to realize what does it mean for the buyers and sellers on the ground. It was a busy weekend though, a lot of foot traffic, starting off with just the buyers out and about. I was amazed how many groups we got through some of our open homes.
Yeah, it was very busy.
You had some standouts.
Yeah, multiple properties had over 10 groups and even got into the low 20s at open homes. And for a 30-minute open home, that's quite significant. Buyers sort of noticed it as well. Walking through the front door and
Absolutely.
seeing 10 people in a living room is a bit overwhelming for some.
So can you tell us what was the address, what price range was it, and what type of property was getting like 18? I saw a group of 18. I saw something of 20 odd.
Yeah, so look,
what did that look like?
Yeah, so let's start off. We'll start from the bottom. We had an entry-level apartment near DY Beach, 2-bedroom unit with a lock-up garage, with a guide just over $1 million to 6/113 Oaks Avenue. That saw 20 buyers come through.
Okay.
The open home. Now for that entry-level apartment price point for a 2-bedroom unit, that is quite significant. It was the first open home as well since launching the property.
So in fairness, like you would expect better group numbers for your first open, particularly when it's just been launched onto
absolutely
big portals. But still, that is a massive number. Like the averages were probably around 5 or 6 buyers per open. So to get like 4 times the amount is that's amazing.
Yeah, for a first open home, you'd hope to get in the double digits, and try achieve 10 groups through the open home.
Yeah.
But to get 20 is ridiculous. And it's an 80 odd square meter apartment. And at one point, I could probably say there was about 12 or 13 groups of people, not just individuals, but groups, just standing in the living room. And it was a bit of stop and start for the buyers trying to get through, but it was really good numbers and very promising to see, especially after that budget announcement came out last week. A lot of people were wondering, especially agents, what's the market going to say about that, and what's the market's reaction going to be?
Yeah.
And that was very positive to start that weekend off with the first open home of that property. Then look, the second one straight after it, I went to a townhouse, 15/42 South Creek Road. That got over double digits as well. We had about 15 people come through.
Yep.
And again, just really busy. That's looking at $1.5 to $1.6 million. And that was insane. That's been on the market for a while now. And when you see property on the market for over 3-4 weeks, you start to see numbers kind of almost simmer a little bit, in the nicest way possible. You'll start to see maybe 3 groups, 4 groups come through because a lot of people have seen it on the real estate portals.
And often we're doing Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday open homes, so it does taper off as the more opens you put on over the course of a week. The fewer group numbers you get through it each time.
Absolutely.
You're accommodating those different hours and days.
Yeah, but it was really positive to see the market react to the budget announcement and still come through those open homes. So to give you just a bit of an idea of what the buyers are thinking, I've got some feedback from them. They have a lot more clarity now, so they understand now the budget's been announced. Interest rates have risen again. but it's all out there.
Yeah. Okay. So observation number one, decent foot traffic through opens, clarity, and then observation number two, a bit more clarity with buyers.
Yeah,
I guess in the build up to the budget, we were seeing people waiting for that sense of direction. Which way will things go for particularly with an investor as well, and that makes up 25% of our overall market, I reckon.
Yeah.
1 in 4 buyers would be an investor or so.
Yeah.
In some of these entry level price points. So.
Yeah, big change I saw on the weekend as well. I was asking people actively, are you looking for yourself to live or as an investment? I'd say about 1 in every 10 buyer was an investor over the weekend, which is a major change.
But I do think people at some point will consider it an investment for them, whether they're not going to rent it out, all the time, but they will rent it out for us maybe a small 6 to 12 month period and then move in, or they want to have that flexibility. So
I agree there.
Yeah, they're conscious of it. So yeah, that clarity is a big thing.
Yeah, it's a major factor, and I think it's really helped a lot of buyers, which is a major plus. Looking at the vendor side of things, what are you noticing now that budget announcement has occurred?
For some vendors, I think it's put it into perspective that it's not necessarily a reason to hold off selling. If they're looking at transacting again in the same market, they've realized that the budget is more impacting them from an investment perspective. So if they're going to move into something, there's no reason to delay that move. I suppose for other vendors that were, I just overall concerned in the market about major changes impacting them. There's been a lot of reassurance from people that have now been protected and grandfathered by not having capital gain changes and negative gearing changes to their property. So for some people, that's been looming over their decisions as well.
Yeah, and there's a shift in the market now with investors in particular as to how many will be listing their investment properties on the market moving forward, especially over the next 12 months to really narrow down, look into it. And then on top of that as well, what's going to be happening with their rent, another major factor as well. What's rent going to do? What are we going to see on the rental market too, which has that same effect in sales?
Yep. Yeah, rents, have the potential to continue strong growth per annum on the basis that there's limited supply in many established areas and plenty of demand.
Yeah. So
those basic economics, the more supply there is, the less demand. Vice versa. The more demand, less supply. It's basically a road where rents go up. So group numbers, clarity, vendors in a good position to move forward. What do you reckon the next couple of weeks looks like?
I think the next couple of weeks, people really need to keep an eye on how many groups are coming through open homes and how many transactions are coming from this. So buyers now looking to get financed and purchase their next property. What's that going to look like in terms of a turnaround? So how quickly are they going to be viewing a property and then purchasing that?
Yep.
And then on top of that as well, what's the market doing around your investment or your home in terms of sale prices? A few vendors I've been speaking to have seen properties nearby come off the market because they're not achieving the price that the vendor wants. So now it's about what our property is going to be selling for in comparison to what people want their property to sell for.
And my biggest advice would be for any buyer currently pre-approved, just have a quick chat with your broker to make sure you're getting the best out of your pre-approval and getting the best lending conditions, because we've had a rate rise, and that generally means for every 0.25%, it changes your borrowing capacity by 2.5%. So if you could borrow $1 million, last couple of weeks, you might now be only borrowing 975, and then the negative gearing changes to investors not having that will change the servicing anywhere from 10 to 20%. So it could potentially be a big difference in your overall borrowing capacity if you go back for another pre-approval. So it could be really in people's best interest to take what they're pre-approved and go and spend that.
Yeah, but in the long run as well, guys, keep in mind what properties have been through in the past. If you want to go all the way back to the 80s, during the recession, if you want to look back at Y2K as well, I know we don't look even older than the event of Y2K itself, but you can see what properties were selling for during those periods and then what they're worth now. And you can take from a past buyer next to me himself what he purchased for just after COVID too, which was another major event that caused a shift in the market. But you can see how properties are resilient, and they always have been, and they've just continued to rise. So even in the long run, don't think too much into a significant price drop. Properties are very resilient. They're strong in terms of growth no matter what.
Yeah, and the cash flow, I think focus is going to be on cash flow now for people. If they can't negatively gear property, there will be an expectation that rents have an uplift. There will be an expectation that the cash flow of running a property will be slightly closer to net neutral than I think it ever has been before, as people get a grasp on their rates, sort of being used to a slightly higher rate now. Hopefully, with the rent catching up a little bit, from an investor's perspective, they will be able to sustain a long-term investment without needing full reliance on negative gearing. So I think you're going to find high yield assets are going to do really well. And I think you're going to find commercial as well. A lot of investors shifting towards commercial assets because there's some, different incentives in that space.
Yeah, along with the new builds too.
And new builds,
all
brand
those
new builds.
Developments coming up, buying off the plan as well.
Yep.
They're major points to raise as well.
So there you go. That's what we're seeing on the ground 1 week post budget. We'll keep you posted as we see any more changes. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was just the amount of foot traffic through some of Saturday's opens.
Yeah,
I was staggered to see how busy the opens were compared to weeks prior, where I think we felt slower open homes just because people were unsure what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think that anxiety in the market has started to tuck away, and now with more clarity, buyers are more confident. And that's my greatest take, buyer confidence in the market now. If you ever need anything, if you ever have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us or any known real estate agents that you guys do put your faith in. It's always good to understand what's going on around you and how these things affect you and your property. But until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.